Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Under the Apron Podcast. I am Tony Robb alongside with
Demo. What's up, everybody?
And if you're watching us on YouTube, which you should be if you're downloading this as a podcast, I'm RobCorder.Nation, and he's Demo the Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And welcome to 2019. New year, new us, kind of new stakes. I'm excited for this year. A lot of great things happened in the wrestling world in 2018. Some exciting things happened. Some things we're going to get into a little bit. Some bad stuff happened.
Update for those of you who have seen the 83.0 podcast. This is our wrestling specific podcast. The 83.0 podcast will be used to talk about other things such as like horror and world news, stuff like that.
World news, horror,
anything we could think of.
Yeah, anything eventful we'll talk about, movies, etc. Might do reactions later on in the future. I know we said that in the past, but going forward, we're going to try to be more motivated and try to do different things going forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2018 was a pretty eventful year. Excited for 2019, things to come, and we're going to get into that. But before we can do that, already in 2019, we did receive some very sad news as Eugene, or I should say Gene Okerlund, Mean Gene Okerlund, he did pass today. This morning it was announced of his passing, which is a very sad thing in this day and age, especially going into the new year. I'm glad he was able to at least see the new year and was able to at least come into the new year before he passed.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about how many wrestlers or wrestling related people died.
In 2018, yeah, in 2018, Jerry Lawler's son passed away. Grandmaster Sexy. Vader passed away last year.
Crazy.
And it happens. Like what comes with life also comes with death. And it happens, and it is sad. Before we move on, I do want to give a small description or a small little bio about Mean Gene, if you didn't know about him. Before we go on here, if you will, Gene Arthur Okerlund, also known by his ring name Mean Gene Okerlund, was an American professional wrestling interviewer and announcer for wrestlers. He was best known for his work with the WWF and WWE. He was also most famous for announcing an interview with Hulk Hogan. And he was introduced into the Hall of Fame in 2006 by Hulk Hogan himself. So yeah, that's probably the most, in my mind, in my opinion, the most thing that when you think of Mean Gene Okerlund, for me, the first thing that comes to mind is Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
We get those classic. Well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. That's probably the most famous thing I think he'll be known for. Some of his interviews with Andre the Giant. If you've ever seen some of those, they're hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the bloopers back then they used to do where someone's trying to cut serious promo and Mean Gene's just cracking up. He's an icon in the business. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a trailblazer. He'll definitely be missed. And rest in peace, Mean Gene. But moving on, we have some big news. For the past, I want to say for several months, on the Being the Elite YouTube channel, Young Bucks, Kenny, Cody, they kept on teasing something was going down on the 1st of January. And there was rumors about a wrestling organization being put together. We weren't really entirely sure what it was going to be. Some speculated they were going to WWE for Royal Rumble. Well, on their channel, they announced that AEW and Double or Nothing will be coming in 2019. And I do have a source about this AEW new wrestling company supposedly coming in 2019, and we're going to discuss what we think about it and the potential it has. It says right here, give me 1 second. It says right here, All Elite Wrestling was officially announced last night, and sources have confirmed Jacksonville Jaguars co-owner Tony Khan is president of the company. As we previously reported, the Khan family has been connected to the rumors of All Elite Wrestling since they first began. Our sources say that that's because Tony is a big part of AEW, and he'll be serving a top role in the company. We're told Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, and Cody will serve as executive vice presidents. Sources say keeping the creative team behind All In together was a huge element of the deal. In case you missed it, the group will be holding a rally at TIAA Field next week to announce more details about the follow-up to All In title Double or Nothing. The rally just so happens to be within walking distance of the SmackDown tapings happening on the same day. According to PW Insider, the group has already had conversations with multiple networks about a possible TV show in 2019, but no word on which ones exactly. AEW is also apparently actively talking to talent about signing multi-year contracts. FYI, Forbes claims the Khan family is estimated to be worth $6.3 billion. They also own Fulham and FC, whatever that is. And that's the last thing it says. This is a source from Pro Wrestling Sheet. So, what do you think about that?
Well, I'm just curious how they're going to do it, because, like, would they be getting a TV deal? Or, like, because, how else are people going to watch? Are they going to do it, like, online?
Well, it's like the source said, it's like you said, they're looking into TV deals. And these are all just kind of rumors or sources. I don't think anything's been truly confirmed. We'll find out more details on the road. But if the source is 100% true about Tony Khan being the president of this company and really truly being involved, which I believe he is, I think Chris Jericho is probably more involved in this than we think. But if that is to be true, I mean, it says right there, this guy is worth $6.3 billion. I don't think they would have a hard time finding a TV deal. I think if he's really the president, if he's really, got that money and he's ready to help out, I think if they needed to get a place like Spike, they've held wrestling companies before, they've held WWE, they've held TNA, that could be a place they could go. Destination America, that could be a place they could go. If I don't know where they could go, but I don't think it'd be that hard considering, this isn't see, the biggest thing for me about this that seems to be different from places like Evolve, Ring of Honor, Impact, is that whoever's behind this, like this Tony Khan, if he's truly behind this thing, this guy is worth more than Vince McMahon right now. Vince McMahon is not worth $6.3 billion. So if this guy is really that guy, then we're talking this guy could easily buy stadiums for them. This is a big guy. This isn't no, oh yeah, hey, when we want to do a wrestling company and you got a couple people helping out. Like, no, this is a guy that's like, oh, I can fund it myself. I'll pay for everything. I got it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When you talk about competition, I don't think they're really looking into compete with WWE right now. But in the long scheme of things, in a way, this is a company with who's behind it who could compete because of the money that's being involved. Like I said, this is a guy who, he's the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Should go to them and go, hey, I'm doing this thing. We want a stadium. We want to hold the stadium and do like a weekly thing here. And they just might get it. When do you think that this will probably unfold? If
I don't know. That's one question I had is like, now that they announced it, when is it gonna like start? Because I'm assuming first they're gonna have to find a TV deal, and they're gonna have to take care of like getting uh, arenas, ring, all that kind of stuff, and then they got to figure out like their talent they're gonna use roster wise, and get people signed for it or whatever they're gonna do with that. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I wonder if they're gonna be one of those places that like people can be contracted to them, but they can wrestle for other promotions too, or if they're gonna like be if you sign with them, that's where you have to be.
I think that's where things kind of get tricky because you're looking at a three triangle kind of spectrum. You have Ring of Honor, you have New Japan, and then you have this AEW thing. Now, let's say, I'm assuming he's going to be there, but let's just say, it becomes like a problem. But let's say he's not. I'm assuming he would be, but let's say he's not. Let's say if Kenny Omega comes to AEW, but he's still contracted with New Japan. I think with Kenny, with Bullet Club has done, with Kenny and Cody and the Bucks have done for New Japan, I think they would more than enough would be, okay, you guys want to do this thing, you guys can work with us and also, do this thing over here, and we'll do like a partnership like they do with Ring of Honor. I like to say, none of them are contracted with Ring of Honor anymore, so they can do whatever they want. But for Kenny and whoever else is contracted with New Japan, I think the only person who's contracted with Ring of Honor is Marty Scurll. I think because they've done so much for Ring of Honor and New Japan, I think all those elite guys, if they wanted, or if they, if they needed, or, need to be in this AEW thing, I think both companies would, allow them to, just like they allowed them to wrestle in PWG, other places. And I think I'm pretty sure they already worked that out with whatever company, and they got themselves handled. As for everybody else, I was thinking probably more than likely, I was thinking more than likely, pretty much everyone that was at All In would be on the show. But then again, that's where it gets kind of dicey, because like, for instance, there's some guys who are contracted in Ring of Honor and JPW. It's like, would they let them there too? Or, for instance, places like Impact, like, could they get Moose? Could they, if they wanted to get, Johnny Mundo, could they do that?
Maybe. I don't know.
Like, it's gonna be, or or another big problem is when it comes to signing. Let's say they want to get, let's say they want to get Jeff Cobb, right? And Tony Khan goes, he's the president, whatever, and they go up to him and they say, hey, we really want that guy. You have the money for him. Offer him a big contract. Offer him the money. Because right now, what it seems like, from what I'm getting out of this, they could probably get whoever they wanted with the money that supposedly they have behind them. So, let's say they go, okay, we want Jeff Cobb, but he's on the contract. Then they're like, we don't care. Give him, I don't think they'd be that mean about it, but if they truly wanted him, and they give him an offer he couldn't refuse, and they're interfering with taking him away from Ring of Honor, could that kind of stir the pot? Would that be a problem with their partnership? It's going to be tough, because a lot of these guys who they probably want or will be at this AEW thing are either under contract or in this company. Like, I'm thinking everybody I can think of right now that would probably be on the show is either Impact, New Japan, or Ring of Honor. Unless there's some other guy out there in AAA who's just done, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's going to be very interesting. I mean, you got Chris Jericho. I think he's going to be I think he's going to be a big part of this as well. And I think this is a breath of fresh air in the wrestling community, because it's not just, because they're not the first people to do this. Rey Mysterio did this past year. No one knew about it because it never picked up off the ground. It was going to be like LA Lucha something.
Mm-hmm.
And there were tapings of it. I remember I saw commercials. There were tapings. MVP was in this wrestling company.
That's probably why I did that. Let's see.
Yeah, MVP was in it. Chris Masters was in it.
I don't know why that happened.
Other Mexican wrestlers, top guys like Pentagon Jr. were in it. Chavo was in this company. I don't know what happened to it. I guess it just never picked up the ground, or maybe it's only in Mexico where you can see it. Michael Elgin had his own wrestling company for like a little bit. Again, it wasn't as big. It was like in his hometown. It just never picked up the ground. This is completely different. These are guys that, number one, their knowledge and eyes in the wrestling business have been phenomenal. We'll get into that a little bit later when we get to our top list of 2018. But when you look at, Dave Meltzer said, they made that's how the All In thing happened. He was like, well, those guys, they're good and they're big, but they'll never draw a 10,000 seat arena, and they did 11,000 seats in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Or I think it was like 15 or like 30 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
So they proved their top draws, and they made up. Yeah, they have people helping them out a little bit, but for the most part, it was on their own. And they sold an arena and put on a fantastic pay-per-view. So them having their own wrestling company, I don't think they're looking in to try to compete, but I think they want to have they want to show what they can do with wrestling. And I think going into 2019, it's going to be like the biggest thing we're going to see in a while, because I don't know, like, how big do you think this is going to be?
I think it could be really big, especially if they become popular and they get a TV deal and they start getting like really good ratings, and they start I'm not gonna say like start becoming competition for WWE, because obviously WWE is gonna have way more viewers, but they're gonna become more and more well known to the audience, and then if they get to a point where the people, like the talent in WWE, sees it and they start going there, then that could take it to a whole nother level to where they could actually be direct competition with WWE. If they get to that level. I don't think they'll get there this year. I think it'll be, if that sort of thing happens, I think it could be within the next like 2 to 3, maybe 4 years. Maybe, depending on how well they do. I don't know. I think this could be a really, really big thing, especially for independent wrestling.
Oh, for sure.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Like, and you got to have respect for all of them for taking a chance on themselves, for doing All In, and then now doing their own wrestling company when they could have just easily went to WWE.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, for a while, people were thinking that they were going to go to WWE. It was highly reported that they were going to go there, and highly rumored. They kept teasing on their show. When they kept teasing on the show, that's when I knew they weren't. They kept playing around with it and kept teasing it, and it was funny. They were doing some funny stuff. I don't know if you've seen like the Triple H stuff.
Yeah,
like it was funny.
Yeah, the H.
But, yeah, the H stuff, and you just kind of knew they were gonna go for good reason, and it made me sit there and think about this. A lot of guys who just kind of went over there, that kind of makes me go, if they just would have waited and just kind of had this like hold on, because, and I don't mean to get sidetracked here. I'll get back to the main topic here, but when you think of so many different guys like Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, Ricochet, Undisputed Era, there's reports of ACH going there, Shane Strickland. There's so many guys that I think they're going to be great no matter what. But with this AEW thing being lifted up, like, could you imagine, like, Undisputed Era, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, them guys also in this AEW thing, along with the Bucks, Kenny, Marty Scurll. Let's say let's just say for giggles, to say Ishii's there too.
Yeah, that's another thing I'm wondering about, like who all is gonna go there, because like it goes back to the thing of like if like all the promotions allow their talent to be shared
Mm-hmm.
with each other, so you could see like with this, obviously you're gonna see the Elite, that's
Yeah,
obvious,
yeah.
but then you could see like people from New Japan, Ring of Honor, and everywhere else come there.
Yeah, and that's like another thing I was worried about when it comes to like the talent
Mm-hmm.
is, at least for me, I don't know what they're thinking. But if it was me, I really wouldn't want to turn this into another Ring of Honor 2.0, another New Japan 2.0, where half of the people you see on there are guys you already see in other companies. Like the Elite, okay, fine. It's like, yeah, that's a given. But then we know Christopher Daniels left Ring of Honor. He's probably going to be there too. We heard Kazarian's is leaving, and Scorpio Sky might leave.
Yeah, they're probably gonna have SCU there.
They'll probably have SCU there. So that's like 10 people who were just Ring of Honor. You know what I mean? So it's like,
So the more I think about it, could this be a bad thing for Ring of Honor?
oh, for sure. I think this would be a terrible thing for Ring of Honor.
Because I hear a lot about like people complaining like Ring of Honor doesn't have a great roster anymore, and like every time they start building people up, WWE came in and took them.
Yeah.
And then now this, when like 10 other people just left, and now they're making their own company, that might not be too good for Ring of Honor.
And that's kind of like the thing. Ring of Honor has always been not a terrible company, a great company, but because they don't have the full money resources like they should, like
Yeah, they never
AEW is gonna pretty much have.
Yeah, I feel like Ring of Honor always had the potential to become a big wrestling company. It just never got there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was.
Like I always thought it was going to be as big as like I thought it was going to get to like TNA's level.
Yeah,
of
like
how big they were.
like 2010 status.
Yeah, but then they just didn't, like, especially when they were like on TV and stuff,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to where people could like actually watch it. But and then all of a sudden they weren't on TV,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't know. I mean, TNA's isn't really as big as they were either.
No, they haven't been. They haven't really been the same since. And that's kind of
At
just.
least TNA's trying though.
Oh, they're trying and they're good. I mean, it's getting better. It's become way different than it was in previous 2-3 years. They're doing really good stuff over there right now. There's some stuff I see I like. It goes back to money. I mean, money rules the world, and that's why it's. I mean, we're gonna find out more details about this anyway. But just for right now, just sitting there thinking about it, that's where we kind of gets like this will either be. They would just be another Ring of Honor and evolve another Impact where their venue's no bigger than a high school gym or smaller because like Evolve and Impact's venue doesn't look that big. I mean, like from the ramp to the ring is like almost 3 steps. So it's like, will it be another company with a super small venue and on some network that no one really cares about, like Pop or something like that? Or is this Tony Khan really that dude with that kind of money that's going to give these guys a venue like a stadium? You know what I mean? Like, if he does that, and then that becomes another problem. It's like, okay, so let's just say they do get that stadium. I think they can. Like, we know for one show they can draw 10,000, 11,000 people. But you got to think about this, and as much as I hate to say it, WWE can draw about 10,000 a week because they're WWE, and casuals are going to go to that show no matter what. That's just a given. Every single week it's going to happen. You know, the hardcores who will support, can they, you know, if they get a stadium, if they do get a stadium, will they be able to generate 10,000 a week with only just hardcores? And you know, the line between hardcores and casuals when it comes to indies is starting to become a little bit more thinner. I feel like people are starting to know more about the indies more than ever before because of the internet. But
well, I think like if they get a TV deal on a channel that the casual fans can access, and I think if it depends on what day they air their show on too, because if they do it on Monday, then they're probably not gonna get as many views as WWE. At least maybe not at the start.
I don't know.
Because like I don't know. I feel like they would probably do it on like I don't know.
All right, so let me tell you this. All right, let's do this. So let's say because I was going to bring this up. I feel like Chris Jericho needs to be a really big part of this. I think if Chris Jericho is saying, okay, I will wrestle at least once every other week on this program, and I'm going to be on this roster. Let's say he does that. Let's just say if. I know people say it's going to be hard because he said he's loyal to Vince, but let's just say if. Let's say he's part of this. And they do have it on a Monday. And they advertise for the first week of this show, this wrestling show, Chris Jericho versus Okada.
Well, if it's on a network that
Let's just say it's on Spike.
would watch, they would probably watch that.
More than Raw. Exactly.
And I think that most casual people would probably be watching Raw. And the way the Raw is now, they might get bored of it because their viewership is getting lower. So maybe they would be like, well, Raw is boring. Maybe I could watch something else. And then they flip the channel. Then they see All Elite Wrestling.
Right. And I think that's the biggest. Now, the dumb idea, I guess you could say it's not a dumb idea, but I think, like you said, that probably would be the worst case scenario if they had to put it on a Monday, because it is Raw. I'd say don't do that.
Because then they'd be trying to directly compete with Raw and viewership.
I don't know, because TNA was on Thursday one time, and SmackDown was on Thursday, and
that's true.
There was a time where I was like, well, I don't really care about SmackDown right now. I'm going to go ahead and watch TNA. TNA, what's going on here? It was James Storm versus, I don't know, who was back then? Gunner? Then no, I'm going to watch SmackDown.
That's another concerning thing, because, if they go to watch All Elite Wrestling, they might not know most of the people on there if they're the casual WWE fans. Like Chris Jericho would be a big help to draw those kind of people there. Mm-hmm. But I feel like once they get there, they might not know these people and they might not know what to think of it.
That's the whole point of learning and watching. I mean, how did we discover Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact? When I first watched those, I didn't know anybody, especially Ring of Honor. Like, I knew, if I could tell my story of how I got in Ring of Honor, it's because of Matt Hardy. And I know that sounds weird, but I remember seeing on YouTube, 2013, whatever that was, Matt Hardy kept posting about his feud with Kevin Steen.
I remember that.
And I didn't know who Kevin Steen was. I looked him up. I saw a couple stuff on him on YouTube about his top moves of Kevin Steen or some highlights. He seemed cool. I'm like, okay, we'll just do that. Ring of Honor. Remember, I looked up Ring of Honor on my mom's laptop at the time. Looked at the roster. Didn't know a single person on there. I think I saw Alex Shelley on there. I was like, oh, I remember him. And I remember they had the option to where you could watch, not this week's episode, but last week's episode. That's how it went. It was each week you get to watch the previous week's episode. Mm-hmm. And I remember I just started watching it. I was like, oh, this is amazing. And after a while, you just keep watching, and then you get to know them. New Japan's the same way. I don't know a single one of those dudes. You start watching it, you're like, okay, Okada, Taguchi, Tanahashi, whatever. Impact the same way. I didn't know AJ Styles and Samoa Joe was. It was there in Walmart as a toy.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was for a while, because I remember it was around that time. I remember you started getting into all the indie stuff, mm-hmm. and I didn't know anything about it because I was just strictly a WWE guy. Mm-hmm. And then I remember you started showing me stuff, and at first I wasn't really sure about it, and then the more I watched it, I kept getting more into it. And then I remember at one point when Ring of Honor was on TV, mm-hmm. I remember we would always watch it, and I just remember the more I watched it, the more I started liking it more than WWE. Mm-hmm. But then it wasn't on TV anymore, and I got sad.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And then when that happened, I was like, that was before I knew I could watch Ring of Honor online.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I was like, well, it's either WWE or Impact. Mm-hmm. And at that time, it was well, because Impact wasn't really doing too good at that time. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, I guess it's WWE then.
Right. So, going back, I feel like if you advertise a big name, I feel like they need to do... Everyone knows who Kenny Omega is. If you know who he is, you're casual, you know who the Young Bucks are, you know who Bullet Club is, or All Elite, whatever. You advertise for Jericho on that first show to be the main event. People are going to watch. If it's on TV, you can't skip forward. So you're going to watch that entire show till you get to the main event. Now, before they get to there, you're going to see some amazing wrestling and go, oh, wait, who this dude? Who this dude? Maybe next week they go...
Yeah, they could have some draw with Cody on there, too.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Know Cody Rhodes.
Everyone knows Cody Rhodes. So maybe then the following week, you advertise Cody versus... I don't know. Let's say they get some other, like... And I'm going to, like, kind of transition the topic a little bit of... Because there's been some rumors of people leaving WWE.
Do you think they would have somebody like Bully Ray on there? Like, you think he would?
If he's interested, absolutely. If he's interested, absolutely.
People know who he is.
For sure. People for sure know who he is. So let's say, for instance, if I told my brother, like, my brothers are really into wrestling, but they haven't really watched.
Oh, what happened? My phone just over.
All right, so as I was saying, like, if you have, like, if I show my brother and I was like, hey, Cody Rhodes and Bully Ray are fighting in the main event of this new wrestling company, and it's on TV on Spike, I feel like they'd watch it. And he's a casual. He's an old wrestling fan. I mean, he watches like once a year. Well, most of my brothers watch like once a year, WrestleMania time. They don't really know some of the newer guys. But if I say Cody Rhodes, he loves Cody Rhodes, he loves Bully Ray. If I was like, hey, Cody Rhodes and Bully Ray, they're on TV tonight. Instead of Monday Night Raw, they're going to be in the main event. I feel like casuals will pick up and they will watch that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the smartest thing to do to put it on a Monday. But if you do that, you have, like, let's say, like I said, it was rumored like a lot of WWE guys will be going over or leaving their contracts with WWE, like Dolph Ziggler. Zack Ryder's been a name supposedly leaving. Nakamura said that supposedly there's rumor going around that Nakamura is going to be leaving WWE, and supposedly he said he doesn't want to go back to New Japan, or he doesn't want to go back to Japan. He wants to stay here in the States.
Well, he already moved his family out here, so see why.
I can see why. So let's just say, hey, what if he does leave WWE within the next month or two? Let's say he does go to AEW. That's another big name to draw attention to AEW. Yeah. You got Nakamura and Kenny Omega on the same roster again. Holy crap. I mean, they fought before like a little bit in New Japan, but not like to a full extent to where they could.
Yeah. You don't know who else will leave to go there either.
Right. Like I said, Dolph Ziggler.
There's people saying Gallows and Anderson might leave.
They could leave. I mean, why wouldn't they? So now you got a good tag team over there. You could reform like a club thing. Tama could go in there if they wanted to, like if that was a thing. It was the Revival. I don't think that will happen. I don't know how their contract is, but that's another name being said that they could possibly leave WWE and come to All Elite Wrestling. And there you go. That's another big like match card. Well, Bucks versus Revival. People been wanting that.
The Revival and the Young Bucks both said they want to face each other.
Right, multiple times on Twitter, and it's very known they want to go at it because they know it could be a good match. Mm-hmm. So that's another big match. That's like, okay, let's put our attention towards this.
So is there anybody in WWE that you think should leave to go there?
Multiple ones, but that's just my opinion. Cien Almas, Samoa Joe. Like I would really want to leave is like I mean, personally I would want AJ to leave. I think AJ Styles' best work so far has been outside of the WWE. I mean, he's had some really good matches the first year he was there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm the only one who feels this way. I kind of feel like his body of work has declined in 2018. I don't know what it is, but I feel like he put on way better matches in 2016 with Roman, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens on Monday Night Raw, even The Miz. I don't know. I could be the only one who feels this way, but I feel like he did a lot better 2016, a little bit 2017 in terms of match quality than he did in 2018. Not saying his matches in 2018 were bad, but what we expect out of him, I expected more. Like, match in 2018 so far, I know they wrestle every week, so, they can't go out there and give you full 5-star matches like he's used to, because you got to calm your body down, because you're wrestling this dude today, then you got to fight tomorrow, and the next day, and you might get like 2 days off, and then you're back on the road again. So I understand they can't wrestle full on how they probably would want to, but that doesn't stop. I mean, I don't know. I feel like his body of work was a lot better and, Impact in New Japan. But at the same time, he's had a really good 2018. He was champion all 2018. So I can't sit here and go, well, they're using him wrong. They're using him great. He's been a good champion. He's defended it multiple times. Nakamura, Samoa Joe, The Miz, whoever, in a way. He's defended a championship. I don't know. Because the way how he was in New Japan, if I could choose, like, hey, would you want New Japan heel AJ Styles and AEW to go against Kenny Omega? Heck yeah, sign me up. I want that. But at the same time, like, he's not bad in the V. It's just, I don't know. It's my personal preference. Probably all of NXT. Before they get the main roster, like, they can finish off their roles in NXT. Once they get the main roster, go ahead and send them on to AEW.
Shelton Benjamin.
Oh, for sure. Shelton Benjamin, for sure.
Good God.
Yeah, do something with that guy, because he's shown he can still go, for sure. There's a lot of guys. And,
you think somebody like Bray Wyatt would go there? Maybe? Like, you think he would go there?
I think he's a WWE loyalist. I think he's the kind of guy that will kind of stay there no matter what. Because I don't know, I feel like there's just some guys who just stay there no matter what. I don't think he wants to leave. Because they're making good money too. Mm-hmm. And I think that'd be a really big gamble. His wife, or not his wife, his girlfriend, still works there.
JoJo's fat ass, man.
Yeah, JoJo still works there, and she's like a big part of it. She's like an announcer. Mm-hmm. So, plus he has kids, and if he was to go to AEW, there's no telling what money these wrestlers are going to make. And I think he would look at that as, yeah, it could be cool, but at the same time, it'd be a risk. So I think I'm going to stay here.
Yeah, it all depends on how much viewership they get, how many seats they sell for every episode.
Mm-hmm. What kind of venue? I mean, maybe the venue doesn't really matter.
Merch sales.
I don't think they'd have a problem with merch.
Like, I know the Young Bucks said, like, they make, like, everybody in the Elite makes more off the merch
than they do actual wrestling. Yeah, well, that's the Elite. That's another thing too. But, like, I don't know. Like, okay, so let's say it like this. Let's say they bring in. All right, bet. Let's say they bring in Zack Ryder, and let's say, and we can't say, oh, Zack Ryder wouldn't be a good wrestler. No, because I just seen Simon Gotch. He was released. This dude wasn't really nothing in terms of WWE or NXT. He was somewhat good in NXT, and then we got the main roster. No one really cared about him. He's now in the Indies. This dude looks zooted. Mm-hmm. Dude got a nice attire. He wrestles with like this like MMA Zack Sabre Jr. stiff strong style kind of style. Dude looks legit. I'm sitting there watching him like, dude, now let this dude go. This dude seems like he's good.
I know.
So who really knows what kind of gems they got in that locker room? Like, you take a guy like Zack Ryder, I'm just saying, who knows how good this dude really could be under the closet. So,
Simon Gotch made me wonder, like, you think Aiden English could possibly be that good?
Who knows? That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, Drew McIntyre. No one really cares about this dude. Dude goes away. You find out, oh, wait, Drew McIntyre is good. Yeah, Trent Beretta. Oh, wait, he's really good. Yeah. There's so many. Johnny, well, everybody, I guess Johnny Morrison was always good, but then he became even better. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Like, you never truly know what kind of gem you really have in that locker room. Simon Gotch, to me, is a big example of like, yo,
You said Zack Ryder could do good. What would you think about Ty Dillinger? Do you think he could be like good?
I think he's a guy. I think he'd be like everybody else. He'll start off slow, of like, okay, I knew this stuff for a while, and I think just like everybody else, he'll learn new moves. He'll have a updated repertoire. He'll update his style, maybe his look a little bit, and then that will really, show, okay, what is this guy really made of? What can he really do? How can he go? And that can be the same about anybody. It's just you never really know what diamond in the rough you really have. Like, there's a lot of guys like, Simon, Trent Beretta, John Morrison, Evan Bourne, et cetera, you have them, and then they go in the indies, and then you're like, oh, they can do this? Oh, okay, I didn't know that. And I think the same could be said about a guy like Zack Ryder. We look at him and go, oh, he's nothing, and then this guy goes on the indies, goes to go up against a guy like, I don't know, Marty Scurll or something like that, puts on the 4.5, maybe 5-star classic, and you're like, oh, shoot. And they had this dude, like, Zack Ryder has not been on WWE television all of 2018.
He's not a bad wrestler either. Like, it's just people don't care about him because they don't use him.
Right.
But he's actually pretty good in the ring.
But who knows how much more he can do. Dolph Ziggler is another dude where he's decent. He's a decent C, B minus type of dude. He's good on the mic. Who knows how much better who knows what other stuff in his repertoire, who knows what else he can do. He might be able to pull out a 450. We don't know.
Like they use Dolph Ziggler, but it's just they treat him like crap.
Yeah.
They make him lose all the time. They make him look like a scrub. But like one of my favorite rivalries of like recent times would be Ziggler versus The Miz.
Yeah.
That shows you like how good both of them really were. Like The Miz is another person.
Yeah.
That like a lot of people hated The Miz, but like especially when he faced people like Dolph Ziggler and that match he had with Seth Rollins, it showed you like how good The Miz really is.
Yeah.
Like, so I definitely think Zack Ryder could be like a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, they hold so many guys back in terms of their repertoire. I'm not talking about their placement on the card. I'm talking about what they can really do in the ring. They hold them back. A team. I think if they left WWE and went somewhere else, they could do good. Wait, all right. I think I know what you're saying. I think I know who you're gonna say. So we're gonna say it at the same time. All right, 3, 2, 1. Ascension. Oh,
that's what I was gonna say.
Okay, but you didn't even say it.
I was just gonna wait to see what you said.
Oh,
I really think Ascension could. They got caught up and just immediately gone
because they were good too, but then they brought them up, and Vince was like, "Oh, the new Royal Warriors or a new Demolition, kind of. So let's kind of make them look like that."
They need to get AOP out of there.
That's another team where they're not too bad right now, but they're starting to hinder that way. Just about everybody on that roster you could think of right now is probably being held back in terms of what they can do in the ring in some kind of capacity. Huh?
Revival for sure.
Revival for sure. And in AEW,
Chad Gable.
For sure.
Chad Gable.
God, he's so good.
Well, I was going to say Jason Jordan too, but I don't know like what his medical status is.
Oh, he's probably done.
Like, I don't know. People were saying he's going to retire, and then people were like, oh, he's coming back. So I'm not sure, like, what he's sitting at. I heard something about he's been backstage, but they're, like, showing him how to be, like, a producer instead of, like, a wrestler. So I don't know if he'll ever come back. I hope he does, because he's got so much talent.
He does. And he definitely for sure could have been something, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of guys who, if their contract is up real soon...
What about Bobby Roode? Like, do you think he would, or do you think he's, like, too old now?
No, it's not that he's old. I think his in-ring style... Personally, for me, there are certain guys at the ring... Like, not everybody is going to be a 5-star wrestler. There are some people who are decent at first, and then they go somewhere else, and then you realize, oh, shoot, they're really good. It's just wherever they were at, they weren't allowed to do certain things. Mm-hmm. But Bobby Roode has always been that guy for me that he just was always just decent. You know what I mean? Like, he just was always... Like, I never really cared for him in Impact. He always was like a guy. Like I never really watched a Bobby Roode match in Impact, or and was like, yeah, like he's a good entertainer. He's like Cody. Cody's better than him in the ring, but Cody's kind of the same way. When you think of Cody, I don't really think of match quality. I think of more of the entertainment and heel and promo style of him. Mm-hmm. And Cody Rhodes has said it himself that he's a more entertainer type of wrestler. You know what I mean? And I think Bobby Roode he fits that kind of category. He's more of a entertain kind of wrestler. I don't think he's more of a best bout machine, if that makes sense. And everyone's different. Not everybody, like I said, not everybody's gonna be up here. Some guys who are up here, somebody who they're gonna always be here because that's just who they are. I think Bobby Roode would just be more or less the same. But then it could be a guy that you need, because if you want a really big heel, like okay, so let's say we get Bobby Roode that was in NXT with the suit, and him being heel with the championship. Sure, okay, I'm good with that. And he gives us a good 4 3.5-star matches every big match. That's it's not the biggest match on the card, or it's not the most talked about match that night, but it was definitely like a decent match that you can go back through his career and say, yeah, this match was really good. I could watch that again. And sure, I'm fine with that. There's a couple of guys I think would really benefit, and this really goes back to this Tony Khan. If he's that dude with that type of money, I don't know why I said dude like that. If he's got that money, then this could be a big fire starter. I don't know. What is your biggest question coming out of finding out this AEW thing?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of big questions. I think because it's like a multiple question type thing. But my biggest question I have right now is like, when?
I think, okay, so we know that this double or nothing thing is pretty much all into. Mm-hmm. And
I'm curious, is that like, that also brought up another question I had. If they're going to have All Elite Wrestling, which I'm assuming will be like their weekly show type thing, mm-hmm. or however they're going to do it. Mm-hmm. Who knows if it'll be weekly or not.
Could be every other week.
Yeah. And then I saw Double or Nothing. I'm like, well, that's obviously like a pay-per-view they could have, like All In was, but then I'm like, so they announced that. Would they have, like, how many pay-per-views would they have? Or, like, how would their pay-per-views work?
I think for right now, see, the reason why All In took so long, I think, in my opinion, is because they didn't have all the money. Or, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a long process. It's a very big process. And they showed us a process of how long it takes to have a pay-per-view. Yeah. And how to build a pay-per-view.
On top of, like, getting the people to, like, get behind them to do the show, too.
Right. So, but I think they'll be a bit different with this because they have Tony Khan behind them, supposedly. And if he has the money to do it, I think he'll completely fund it. And I think they will have the pay-per-view a lot more sooner than we think. I'm going to go ahead and say that we will see Double or Nothing before we find out any information about it. Because we're going to find out information about all of this next week anyway. But with just my prediction, I think we could see this the latest April, the earliest March.
I have another question. Mm-hmm. Like, do you think they're going to have... Cause I feel like it's going to be like obvious, like, yeah, they will, but, like, do you think they're... I don't know who's calling me. Do you think they're going to have championships? Because, like, I was going to ask them, and I'm like, well, obviously, if they're going to be, like, a weekly thing, they'd have to have championships. Yeah. But, like, I wonder, like, what kind of championships they would have. If they would have, like, world, and then, like, mid-card and tag team, or, like, what kind of... Would they have, like, women? I don't know.
This all goes back to Tony Khan. If he really is $6.3 billion, he will handle this. He'll handle all of that within a week or so. Like, if he's really that rich, that should be no problem. I don't know if they, like I say, it goes back to if he really is behind this. I think the earliest we could see it is in March. I think to start off, we will see about All In 2 or Double or Nothing, this would being called, and then I think we'll see another pay-per-view later on before the year is out. I'd say maybe August, maybe September again, and then I think
this year for sure.
Yeah, this year for sure. I think we'll see maybe 2 with the weekly show, and then we'll go from there. It could be more. I don't know. I'm just going off of they're starting off slow and then building, seeing how this pay-per-view does, seeing who comes to All In 2. Okay, how many people shows up to this weekly show every week? Hey, Lucha Underground does good with people coming to their weekly shows every week. Impact does pretty decent with it. Shoot, okay. Maybe they will get people to show up every single week to their show. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know. But if they do, then okay, I think they'll go, okay, we're testing the waters. We're doing good weekly on our show. Everyone, All In 2, Double or Nothing sold out again. Okay, this third pay-per-view, I don't know what they would call it. Some dumb name, whatever, I don't know. That does good. Okay, going in 2020, let's up it up. 4 pay-per-views a year. And I think they'll gradually continue to grow if they are successful, which I think they will be. I think the biggest problem will be contracts, getting people, because people are on the contract. I mean, but this is a whole big world, and there's many people who wrestle, so maybe that might not be a problem. We might not see people we've never even heard of on this show, and then within 2-3 weeks, they might be our favorite wrestler of all time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it all just depends.
Yeah.
Again, we'll find out more information about this next week, so maybe some of our answers right now will be answered when that comes up. But I think that'll conclude our talk about AEW.
Yes. That was the biggest topic of today.
Yeah, it's a big topic for wrestling world right now. It's
yeah, there's a lot of big things going on, but this is like the newest big thing.
Yeah, and there's also like SmackDown. That's another big thing.
Going to the Fox, yeah.
So I mean, and that's another thing I forgot to mention. Yeah, as much as we don't like WWE right now, from what we're being told, that Fox wants out of SmackDown.
Yeah. They want like a competitive sports feel. Like,
yeah, they want a more serious thing, which is what a lot of like New Japan, Ring of Honor, that's what they're doing. So if we get that on a weekly basis, then we really do have a problem, because it's like, okay, for the longest time we wanted people not to be in WWE because they're being trash, and it's like, oh shoot, if SmackDown's doing really good, hey, okay, then I guess go to SmackDown then. So that's another thing. That's like, if they really become what we might think they become, we can stay there, and then who knows, they might not change at all, and this thing could be a fluke, and they get the money and nothing really changes besides like the lighting. I don't know.
They're gonna have to change something. They can't keep going the way they're going. Like, they might think they could keep going the way they're going, but eventually, somewhere down the road, eventually it's gonna keep just getting progressively worse and worse and worse.
Well, see, then now we have a big problem on our hands with the AEW thing, because if we're talking that, then now you got a SmackDown that's more competitive and being like the type of wrestling that we wanted for a long time. And now you got AEW that is the wrestling that we wanted for a long time. Both are now competing of like, with Tony Khan, him being like the biggest in terms of money, being the biggest problem for Vince. And depending on what kind of venue and what kind of stuff they're bringing in, that could be competition a little bit in terms of like notoriety and in terms of venue and money. Could be a problem. I mean, this is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a president and the owner of a professional football team. This ain't just no dude who's the owner of Jib Jabs who says he wants to do wrestling. No, this is like a big dude. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't. This is a $1 billion rich man who could cause some problems.
This ain't no NEW at the freaking Scrappers baseball field.
Yeah, like this is a dude who is now president of this company, and this dude is like he's up there with Trump in terms of money. You know what I mean? So
you know the WWE's gonna have their eye on it too.
Right.
They're probably gonna especially since they know All Elite Wrestling is gonna be coming for sure. They're probably gonna try to sign up everybody they can. They're already doing that.
Right.
And it's just once that happens, they're like literally everybody. They're just gonna try to sign up so that they won't have anybody to put on their show. And when it comes down to that, it's gonna come down to the wrestlers themselves.
Right.
Like,
and
do they want to go to WWE or do they want to like stay and help this?
Yeah,
cause?
that's the big problem. And then it goes back to the whole money thing.
Yeah,
that's why guys like Kyle O'Reilly and Kevin Steen, and that's why all these guys wins, because they wanted to be there. That, you know, when you get to wrestling, the first thing you think of WWE and, you know, everything in the past. But another big part of it is the monies.
Yeah, it's the whole dream thing and the whole WrestleMania spectacle thing that people want since they're a kid. And then on top of that, they offer like a ton of money, like more than you're ever going to get paid on the indies.
Right. So, and like you said, it's like, but if AEW, like if this owner is offering to give them that kind of big money, then it becomes like, what do I do here?
Yeah, it depends on like what it turns out being too. Because if it turns out to just be like some small type Ring of Honor show,
right,
then I think more people would go to WWE. But with that guy backing it, if it becomes like a whole big like WWE type production, maybe not that level. I don't know like what all this guy could do, but if it becomes like a big type thing and it looks like this big impressive thing, then people might be more tempted to go there.
Right. Like I think New Japan technically would be their biggest competitors if they were in America. Because look, they have the venues, they have pay-per-views, they have the money, they have great production, they put on great matches. What is holding them back? They're not America. So not everybody knows who they are unless you're big into wrestling. Then you're watching.
It's not like there's no competition in America. It's just none of the companies in America are big enough or as well known to even like touch WWE.
Right. They don't have like the money that can really elevate them. Like you said earlier, if Ring of Honor had New Japan or WWE money, that would be their biggest worry.
Yeah.
You know. So if Tony Khan is able to generate New Japan or WWE money, or, you know, if he can do that, I think I don't think the Elite is looking to compete right now. But however, I think they need to have that in their head, like, hey, listen, if you guys can really do what they're doing, but do it in your own way, and people are already liking your way. But like you said, it goes back to the whole Fox thing. If Fox starts doing what they're doing, now you got competition. Then there you go, and that's where it's gonna be like,
It's gonna be a really interesting year. A lot of big things are gonna be going down when you got All Elite Wrestling coming up, and then you never know who's gonna go where, especially with G1 Supercard coming up as well.
Yeah.
And then it's starting to get WrestleMania season, and you don't know who's gonna get signed. You don't know who WWE's going to try to go after, who's going to end up where. By the summertime, dude, who knows who's going to be left on the independent scene? Right,
like I said, I think they're trying to get ACH, Shane Strickland. They could try to get Jeff Cobb, and if they're just around millions of bucks saying, here, let's go. Like, and those guys are going to be like, it's a couple $100,000 that I don't have right now. You're offering how much? Okay, like, and that's kind of what it is. And plus the whole always wanting to be there when you're younger type of, you know, aspect of it, and it's gonna be tough.
Another thing that I was like that's on my mind is like with all this happening, you know, WWE is gonna try to sign everybody they can. They're gonna get all this talent in, and then like what's gonna happen is all the people that got in NXT right now, most of them will be, I'm assuming, on the main roster by that point, like Undisputed and all of them. They'll probably move up, and then all those people they'll be signing will be in NXT. I'm wondering, is it going to get to a point where they like just keep signing and signing to where they have so many people that the company's like overflowing with talent?
I think at that point, no. I think at that point, that's where we're going to see releases.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to, actually. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, what happens if it gets to a point where NXT is full and everybody who's in NXT is on the main roster? When the main roster is already full, So then you're gonna have like so many people not getting used.
Mm-hmm.
So then would the people that's not being used, would they leave and then go to like an All Elite Wrestling?
For sure, but then we're talking about the bottom of the barrel people. Titus O'Neil. We're like, no, seriously, like, not trying to make a joke, but like I know what you're saying, and we're already seeing that. And what you would get if it gets even bigger, like if we're already that's already happening, and if that continues to happen, but on a bigger scale, like it's really overflowing. People are getting used and by Titus O'Neil, by Chad Gable probably.
Well, my thing is
by Ty Dillinger for sure, by Shelton Benjamin, by probably Sanity.
Like if they're gonna be, if they say like they sign like Okada and like just say they sign people like that big. And,
who?
Like Okada.
Who?
Like WWE.
Okay.
Like say if they sign people like that big, then if all those kind of people come to WWE, what's gonna happen to the roster they have now of like all the big people they have there? Because they're not gonna not push an Okada.
Well,
because people know it's gonna be like a huge signing.
Let's change it.
Like,
let's change that around, because you say that, but guess what? That's what Shinsuke Nakamura was.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Nakamura was supposed to be that big guy coming over. Where Okada is right now, that's where Shinsuke Nakamura was. He was world champion once. He was more of an IC champion type of dude, but in terms of like big star and like Japan and like people who were like, IWC, people who watch New Japan, that's where Okada's at now. That's where Shinsuke was. He was that big star. So when it was told that, oh, Nakamura's coming over here, it was like, oh shoot, like he's gonna be WWE champion. Like they should treat him like the big star that he is. And look what happened. So let's change that to Kenny Omega. He can speak English. He's a good promo. He's a good wrestler. He's just about as good as AJ Styles, if not better.
Mm-hmm.
They'd pay him. He's already making $3 million now. So guess what? They pay him about $5 million. They put him in that spotlight. He'd be that guy. I don't know. They'd work it. I don't know, but just had to switch that around because
I'm just like curious what would happen, because I noticed NXT's kind of having that problem where they have so many people, and like it seemed like they signed people and got them in, but then they signed another round of people as well, and it just seems like a lot of people are getting like that wrong place, wrong time thing.
Yeah.
Where like people like EC3 or Cassius Ohno, like when they got signed, they made it like a big deal, and you thought like they were going to be like how like Ricochet or Adam Cole was, but then they signed more and more people, and then just people were getting put up over others. So I'm just wondering, like, if they keep signing people, will the main roster become like that?
We'll see. When we talk about that, I think that's NXT's problem. Without straying too far from the topic, NXT's problem is
they're only an hour a week. That's one problem.
So, yeah, I'm saying that's what I was getting to. They really should have been. It should be a 2-hour program with all the stars that they have on there, or potential stars, however you look at it. That should be a 2-hour show. Easily. I said they just need to add another title. They did that, and they're still kind of having the same problems. They need to add another hour to put. And some people say they don't. Some people like it how 1 week you see Keith Lee and Matt Riddle, and then you don't see him until 2 weeks later. And the following week you see all Undisputed Era, and the following week you don't see them at all, besides like a promo.
Yeah.
Or the following week you see Donovan Dijak taking on Cash. Like, some people like that, but I think if you want better, you need a 2-hour program to feature all these guys.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. So, and that's just, I think that's their problem, and they need to fix that on their own leisure. If they do, if they don't, then that's them. I just think that's their biggest problem for me personally. If they, with the whole people getting used, people not getting used, because they have good talent who are not indie guys, but you wouldn't know because, the AEW, we'll find. Well, like I said, we'll find out next week what's going on when they're gonna have Double or Nothing. I'm pretty sure they'll announce the date for that. What AEW is gonna be, they'll probably announce that. So we'll find out and we'll get more details going on about it.
You know, I just thought about something. We kind of left out something that could be like a big factor.
What?
Like CM Punk.
You know what? I didn't think about that.
I just started thinking about it. Like, I'm not saying it's gonna happen because no one knows if it would actually happen. But I feel like it could.
He said, because they asked Punk on an interview, asked him, "Hey, there's this thing going on. Would you do it?" He said, "I have not signed anything, or there wasn't full on talks." But he said, I do talk to Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson on a pretty much regular basis, and they do ask me about it. And he said if there was a good deal on the table, then he would consider it. So, the question is not out of the question. I think he'd be a commentator, though. I don't think he'd wrestle. I think he'd just commentate.
I think, like, no matter what, like, as long as his name is, like, name value alone, and, like, him just being associated with it at all could be, like, just big. It could be huge.
Okay, so yeah, I must have upped this ante. So what about this? You want to talk? So you asked how much people would go to this AEW thing. How much attention would this get? All right. So let's say at first it starts off slow. Let's say CM Punk does go. There are a little bit of eyes to the table, but he's just a commentator, right? Let's say, let's just say, I don't know, it's not going to happen, but let's say they start this company next month. Mm-hmm. That's too soon, but let's just say, just for argument. And let's say he's commentating, and the months are going by, and it's good, and it's good, and it's good. And let's say by August, July, they build up the storyline about some wrestler. Let's say Kenny. Let's say Kenny's heel at this time. He said, screw the elite, kayfabe-wise. And he starts talking trash about CM Punk. CM Punk gets off the commentary table and takes his vest off, whatever, goes in the ring and starts brawling with Kenny. And what if, by August, July, they have a second pay-per-view, CM Punk versus Kenny? Oh!
I already got pre-cum coming up.
You want to talk about... like, you want to talk about how much attention would they get? Dude, that'd be the hottest thing within the last 10 years.
Like, could you imagine, like, a card they could have with that? Like, you have headlined by CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, and then you could also, like, depending on who they have, Jericho could be on it.
Yeah.
Like, you never, it could be, like, the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, anything with CM Punk is going to be big, especially with the wrestling world. Anything he does in the wrestling world is going to be big.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
yeah, just, I mean, and this is a speculation. This is all it's wishful thinking. It could happen. It could not happen. We don't know. It's 2019. Anything can happen. So, we'll find out more information as things go along. This podcast is getting kind of long.
Did you want to?
Yeah, we're gonna end this podcast. With the end of 2018 going to 2019, we do have a list of our top 20 wrestlers of 2018. We're gonna give a brief reason why. We're not going to go too long. We'll probably wait till like the top 5 to get super long for each reason.
Are we going to like each say one and then go back and forth?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Or? You can start because I don't know your list.
Alright, so the way I have people listed on here.
Okay.
The ones that are more, I would say, from number 8 and up, are more of like the tip top wrestlers.
Okay.
But it's not where people are placed. It has nothing to do with like how much I like them or anything like that.
Okay.
Like their place on the list doesn't mean anything. Like I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to explain it. Like
I know I get you. I see what you're saying.
Like they're all top wrestlers of the year, but their placement doesn't really mean that any of them's better than the other.
Okay. So are you trying to say like so you just like first thing you could like seeing Almas more than you like AJ Styles, but you feel like AJ had a better year than seeing like Almas did. Is that what you're trying to? Okay. I have that. That's about how mine is.
So at number 20, I have Ricochet.
Okay.
I feel like Ricochet is like one of the like biggest breakout people of the year.
Uh-huh.
You know, like he came in. He had a ton of hype behind him too.
Mm-hmm.
He came in that amazing ladder match, and then his matches with Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream, won the North American Championship, still North American champion. You know, I think he's had one of the better, you know, kind of like rookie runs in NXT in terms of somebody like coming in and then like getting to a championship that quickly, and the matches he's put on too.
Oh yeah.
So that's my number 20.
My number 20 is Kota Ibushi. And it kind of hurts me to put him down on the list, but I think he kind of went a little bit lower in terms of things he did this year. He was kind of put in the back burner with being in the tag team with Kenny. I kind of like Kota Ibushi more as a singles wrestler. I feel like he could be a lot more in the top division for New Japan. But he was kind of like, you know, for storyline, but he was put in the tag team with Kenny, and Go to Lovers is great. I just think he could have did a lot more. He had a really good match with Cody and Kenny Omega a couple months back for the championship. That was a good match. He's had great matches. I think I just have him so low on this list because I feel like he could have been better, and yet he should have done more, but he didn't do as much as I think he should have been. And I know that sounds weird because he's the never overweight champion right now. So, but yeah.
For my number 19, I have Buddy Murphy.
Oh, okay. I should have had. Oh,
Buddy Murphy, I feel, is probably maybe not the best person that reinvented himself this year, but one of the best. Like
I put him number one.
From going from that tag team he was in with Wesley Blake.
Yeah.
To where he is now, like, Jesus Christ. I didn't think the man had that much talent in him. Then I watched his matches with Cedric Alexander and everybody else, and I was like, oh my God. And, like, he's just so good. I was just, like, surprised at how much he was able to change himself this year, and, like, how far he's come since just being in a tag team in NXT and then doing nothing for a while. And then from what I heard, he went up to Triple H and he told Triple H he wanted to be on 205 Live to prove himself, and he certainly did that this year. Yeah.
My number 19 is Jay Lethal. Nothing against him. He's a great wrestler. He's had decent matches this year. I just think, and he's been world champion for the majority of 2018. I just think he just went under the radar. For me, and maybe because I don't watch Ring of Honor as weekly as I used to, but something about him, he hasn't been the biggest star that he was in 2016, 2017 for me, with the House of Truth stuff and everything like that. Just Jay Lethal, just for me, I didn't click it as much as he did previously, which is a shame considering how good he is, and he's been the champion for the majority of 2018. I feel like he should have been elevated or should have been in the limelight more than he was, and I don't know if it's, again, because Ring of Honor is kind of on a decline or what it is. And Jay Lethal's had some decent good matches this year. It's just for me, he's a bit lower on my list this year of 2018 because I don't know, something hasn't been there with him.
My number 18 is Rey Mysterio.
Okay.
Rey Mysterio has been, like, one of the most talked about people this year. You know, he came out as a surprise in the Royal Rumble, and then everybody was wondering if he was coming back to WWE, and then, you know, all of a sudden, he's wrestling in New Japan, going here and there, wrestling places, and then comes out in the Greatest Royal Rumble, and then after that, everybody's just, like, wondering when he's going to sign, and then he signs. And in terms of the end of the year, his end of the year hasn't really been that great, honestly. It seemed like he came back, and then there was hype behind him, and then it just
kind of died off. Yeah, fizzled out. I mean, sometimes I forget he's there. I'm like, oh yeah, he is there.
You know, I felt like he deserved to be on this list just based on how much he was talked about this year, and yeah.
My number 18, and I kind of debated about this a little bit to see if I wanted to have him on my worst list, which we don't have, but if we were to have a worst list, with Brock Lesnar. And this is where it's going to get a little bit weird in terms of a top 20 list of having Brock Lesnar on my list. Because he is a champion and he is physically dominating and he can put on good matches. We've seen him have a good match this year with Daniel Bryan. But that's the only match. That's pretty much the only good match he had this year. He's been there for only 3-4 times this month, maybe 5, I think, overall. And it's a shame. It's a shame. It could be. It's not all his fault. Because Vince is the owner of the company, he could have easily said, "Hey, if you're gonna be here, then you need to show up more. I know we have a contract or whatever. Or we're gonna change this contract, and you need to be more. You need to be here more often. We're paying you big money. If you don't want to be here a lot more often, you go to UFC. You're a big name, but at the same time, like you're not. Him being a big name, like and this is another thing. Brock Lesnar is only more of a big name in UFC than he is WWE. I think if you're talking about Brock Lesnar is going to come back to UFC, yeah, the whole world's going to care. Brock Lesnar is going to come back for a Royal Rumble. You know what I mean? Like him being in the Royal Rumble this upcoming, Sunday for Royal Rumble is not going to generate any more fans to come watch that show than if he wasn't on that card. Maybe a few more 100 people will watch Royal Rumble for Brock Lesnar than usual. But if you're talking about Brock Lesnar joining UFC to fight John Jones or the guy you would want to face, Daniel Cormier, then yeah, you're going to get a million more views with that. And I think he's more of a star in UFC than he is in WWE because of that. And, he is a champion, but hasn't really been there. So yeah, I have Brock at number 18.
My number 17, I had Pentagon Jr. I haven't. The reason he's so low is because I know how good Pentagon is, and his match with Kenny Omega was really good, and I know he's had great matches with Sami Callihan and stuff like that. It's just I haven't it's not his fault because I just haven't watched that much of him. But I know he's had a really good year, and there's a lot of speculation and stuff on him, where he's going to go next and all that kind of stuff. So I figured he deserved to be on here.
Okay. Number 17. My number 17 is Asuka.
I didn't know we were including women in this.
Yeah, I did definitely deserve to be on this list.
I didn't know if there was going to be a separate women's one or not.
Oh, did you just have all men?
Yeah.
Okay.
That don't make me sexist, though. I didn't know.
Yeah, I have Asuka on my list as number 17. Nothing against her. I think she's the best women's wrestler on that roster besides my number 2. I will get to her later on. But I think Asuka, in terms of wrestling ability, in terms of striking, in terms of sequence and finesse, and what she can do in the ring, I think Asuka is the best wrestler on that company. But 2018, she just didn't do it for me. And it's not her fault. She won the Royal Rumble. She had an amazing match with Charlotte. And after that, kind of just fills it out. She lost twice to, what's her name? Carmella. She lost twice to Carmella. Haven't really seen much of her. I know she's a champion again right now, but there was a good 6 months before that what was Asuka really doing? And not much. Was barely even there. And that's kind of more of a company's problem, not a her problem. They just didn't feature her as prominently as she should be, as good as she is. That's nothing against her. They just haven't booked her like she should be. And it's because of the language barrier. I know that's the reason why, because she doesn't fluently speak English, and that's kind of the main reason why. And that mess is going to happen. But it's a shame that she hasn't been on the show, and she should be, because in my opinion, she's the best women wrestler. But because of how they booked her, she's at number 17 for me.
My number 16 is Cien Almas.
That low?
The only reason is just because of how they've been doing him lately. He started off the year great, NXT champion, and had that whole thing with Johnny Gargano, and then he had so much hype about him coming to SmackDown Live. And he's had some great matches on SmackDown Live with Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Mustafa Ali. It's all been good. It's just for a while they just didn't use him for whatever reason, and then like every time they do use him, he just loses. He's got like that Dolph Ziggler effect, where he just like anytime they use him, like you want him to be successful, but they just make him lose.
Yeah.
Or I guess you could say that Bray Wyatt effect, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of people that have that problem in the movie.
My number 16 is Johnny Mundo. I'm gonna keep this one brief. It's kind of the same situation with Jay Lethal. Maybe a little bit less with John Morrison or Johnny Mundo, whatever you want to call him. I've seen more matches from Johnny Mundo this year than I did Jay Lethal. But again, he just hasn't fully clicked for me like he has in previous years. But he hasn't always fully clicked with me. He's always been that guy who's really great and really good and has put on good matches, but you don't really hear too much about him. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of just why I have him so low. Is he's been good this year, but not a whole lot to be up in the top 10 or anything like that.
My number 15 is Randy Orton.
Okay.
I really love how Randy Orton's heel turn has been. Uh-huh. The only reason he's kind of lower is just because he hasn't done like really that much of late. Like the whole thing where he came back as heel, and the whole thing with him and Jeff Hardy, I loved. Uh-huh. It was really good, and I loved how he was able to. Because there was one point where people just didn't care about Randy Orton, and then the dude comes back and is a heel, and then all of a sudden everybody cares about him again, and he's like cutting some great promos, doing some great work, and I really liked it. I really liked how he was able to make people care about him again, and that also goes to show that Randy Orton needs to be a heel no matter what. 'Cause they tried making Randy Orton a face, and we see what happened.
I agree. We're on 15? Okay, yeah, my number 15 is going to be Charlotte Flair. Again, I think I have 3 women that I think they are the best in the business right now, and I think people don't give Charlotte the benefit that she really deserves. I think when she's all said and done, in my opinion, not because of her title reigns, but because of the type of good matches that Charlotte has had over the years, I think when it's all said and done, Charlotte will be probably the best women's wrestler of all time, in my opinion. I think Charlotte will be that woman. Plus, her title reigns have been good. Not all of them, but some have been good. Like I said, she's put on good matches. But again, this year, there were some misses. She's not what?
Hit or miss.
Oh, and not every single match she had this year was a great 5-star classic. But there were some good ones here and there. And I think 2019, she has been progressing every single year since then. And that's kind of what I like. So I have number 15, and going forward, I hope she does a little bit better.
What's up, Bailey? For my number 14, I have Brock Lesnar. People give Brock Lesnar a lot of crap, like mostly because of the way he's scheduled, but, Brock Lesnar's a big draw, and, I should have had him, I'll admit, I should have had him lower on here, but, because of his title reign, and, his match with Daniel Bryan, especially, like, when Brock Lesnar has matches like that, it really makes me like Brock Lesnar. But then, like, when they did all the stuff with Roman, it really made me, like, hate Brock. But, I feel like Brock had a pretty decent year. He was in a lot of big marquee matches, because he's Brock Lesnar, of course. I should have had him lower on the list, honestly. But, yeah, that's my number 14. I can't really say anything else about it.
My number 14 is Hiromu Takahashi, and I probably would have had him.
Welcome to the podcast, baby.
I probably would have had him higher on my list, but he got injured, and it's a shame. And he's still dealing with a neck injury right now. But in the junior division in New Japan, Hiromu Takahashi really was doing really good. I wasn't that hot on him, and he had some really, really amazing matches with Will Ospreay and Kushida and Taiji Ishimori.
Mm-hmm.
And
you even said it with that Japan accent. Ishimori.
It's just, he got injured, and it's not his fault. Had he not get injured, I would have had him a little bit higher on my card. I would have had him a little bit higher on my list, but he got injured, and it's not his fault. But yeah,
my number 13 is the Velveteen Dream.
Oh, I could forget about him.
I don't know how you could, but I don't.
He'll be on
The reason I have him here is just because Velveteen Dream is great, but it's just he's just not getting anywhere. I know he will eventually. Matches with Johnny Gargano, everybody he's faced, the Velveteen Dream just seems to get better and better, and he's only like 22 years old as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like being that good at that age, like Jesus, but he's only this low because they just haven't really done a whole lot with him. Like they've done stuff with him, but he hasn't gotten to a title yet, or he hasn't really captured anything yet. But in terms of being from Tough Enough, I'd say he's probably one of the most successful people from Tough Enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 13.
My number 13 is Cien Almas. I believe the beginning of 2018 was really Cien Almas' year. He had an amazing 5-star classic, and I think probably the match of 2018 was Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano. Was that Philadelphia?
I think. I can't recollect.
Well, one of the NXT takeovers in 2018. I really believe that his match he had with Johnny Gargano was the match of the year. He then had another good 4.5 match with what's his name? Fade to Black. What's his? Aleister Black. He had a really good match with him. The matches he just had overall with Velveteen Dream or Cassius Ohno, whether it would be, or the match he had with McIntyre, just fantastic. And like you said, you covered this a little bit before, he turned himself into a guy that no one really cared about to an amazing wrestler who became NXT champion. And for that is commended. The only reason why he's not higher on my list that I believe he should be is, again, you covered this a little bit, is because he came to the main roster and they haven't really done a whole lot with him like they should have. But the beginning of 2018, the parts where he was in NXT, really shown the star that he is, and really made me a huge fan of Cien Almas, and that's why I have him at my 13.
My number 12 is Pete Dunne.
Okay.
Pete Dunne's had a great year. He won the UK Championship, the longest reigning UK champion.
Was that this year?
I can't remember if it was this year or not. I know he's had the title all year. But yeah, he's had some great matches, especially with him and the Undisputed Era. It was a great combination when him and Roderick Strong were a team going against Undisputed Era, and I think it was AOP.
Mm-hmm.
That was great, and he's had great matches. Whoever steps in the ring with Pete Dunne just seems to have a great match.
Yeah.
I've seen some of matches he had with Tyler Bate and stuff like that. I don't remember if they were this year or not, but they're really, really good matches. And especially Pete Dunne's performance in War Games 2. That really made me a Pete Dunne fan.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, so going on to my number 12. Tessa Blanchard. Talk about a big star in women's wrestling aside of WWE. This woman, she's the Impact champion in Impact, or the women's Impact champion in Impact. And she's been a big eye-opener. She's been an eye-opener for me for a while. She was dating Ricochet, and that was my first introduction to her. And then seeing what she can do, whatever training she did with Ricochet or her ex-boyfriend or whoever she's been training with, they really have taught her some really good stuff. She's really, really good. If she was in WWE right now, I'd say she'd be world champion or should be world champion. She's beautiful, tall, strong.
She wasn't Mae Young Classic.
She wasn't Mae Young Classic. That is right.
I think that was 2017 though.
Right. She's just really, really good. I watched her match at Bound for Glory with Taya. She's had a couple matches with Taya, and they were pretty good for what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen nothing but fantastic stuff out of this young woman who is young and will continue to grow. So going forward, 2019, I think she's gonna have a fantastic year, which is why I have her so high.
My number 11 is Aleister Black.
Okay.
I feel like Aleister Black did really good this year. He ended up becoming like the biggest babyface in NXT when that was originally Johnny Gargano. I just thought it was funny how things worked out, especially like that whole who attacked Aleister Black thing.
Yeah,
that was really big, and like you said, his match with Almas. Aleister Black has just had an overall good year, and he got married to Zelina Vega, so I guess that's good too.
Yeah, how did he manage that?
How the hell he managed that? But yeah, that's my number
11. My number 11 is Pentagon Jr. The guy's great. I love Pentagon. But, again, there's just something that's been missing. And it could be a disconnect because I don't watch every single wrestling show every single week. Mm-hmm. But, I don't know. I didn't watch every single wrestling show every single week in 2016, 2017. And I was still, into these guys. Something about this year. He had a really great match with Kenny Omega at All In. That was fantastic. He's had some good matches on Lucha Underground. Those were great. But besides that, Pentagon has been kind of quiet unless he's posting a picture of himself wearing a cool attire. That's kind of been the story for me with Pentagon this year. He puts on a really good attire, has good matches, don't really see every single last one of them. But besides that, I haven't really heard a single thing from him. So,
my number 10 is Daniel Bryan. And
okay.
I don't know what it was. His coming out of retirement was so big, and it had so much hype behind it. And then the match at WrestleMania happened with him and Shane versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And that was all good. And people were so hyped for Daniel Bryan. They were thinking of all the dream matches. And then they immediately did Bryan versus Styles. And he was having all these good matches, and then they were doing the thing with The Miz. And I just feel like his return to wrestling just wasn't as big as it could have been.
At first.
Yeah, because then they made him do the whole thing with Big Cass. I still have no idea why. And then, he ended up turning heel in that match with Brock. But he ended up turning heel. I kind of like this, dick, vegan Daniel Bryan.
Oh, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I was dying laughing at the thing where he was slapping Mustafa Ali. Mm-hmm. That was funny. When he was saying fickle. I like the new Daniel Bryan.
My number 10, this is kind of getting down to the wire here. I did have Jeff Cobb. I don't know why, now I think about it. I don't know why I never had him number 10. But it's God, I can't think of his name. It was the bald dude that Tony Gargano faces. Ciampa, thank you. Tommaso Ciampa was 2018. He embodied pretty much all of Johnny Gargano's and NXT's pay-per-views for the remainder of 2018. This guy, even when he was injured, would come out and attack Gargano constantly with the crutch. They didn't have those 3 matches at the takeovers. Those were fantastic. He then had a good match with Aleister Black, became NXT champion. Still is NXT champion as we speak right now. Had a good match for Velveteen Dream recently.
I think she wants out.
Ciampa was Ciampa was just, to me, 2018. He really showed you what a heel should be, and more heels should be just like him, just not just what he did in the ring, but stuff he did on Twitter to promote his heelness, like not being in the wrestling game, or not putting out. He has good merch, but doesn't put it out there for people to buy. Just different things like that a heel should do, and he has embodied what it's like to be a heel. And to me, he's been definitely 2018 and a big part of it. So yeah.
So much for Jeff Cobb.
I don't even know why I had him up there so high. Like I love Jeff Cobb. I don't know why I had him up. He's on our mention for sure, but.
Jeff Cobb, if you're watching this podcast, you're more than welcome to come defend yourself.
Yeah, man. If you want to defend yourself, I mean, you're television champion, so maybe you should be like, I don't know, maybe you could replace Brock. There you go. Happy birthday.
For my number 9, I have Marty Scurll.
Okay.
I've really become a Marty Scurll fan. Like at the beginning of the year, I really didn't know who Marty Scurll was. That's like I remember when he first joined the Bullet Club. I didn't know like who the heck Marty Scurll was. And then I just watched more stuff about him, and like especially being the Elite made me more of a fan of him. Mm-hmm. It made me more of a fan of all of them, to be honest. And sure. His match with Okada, I really liked. I loved the promo he cut on Okada. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure you saw it. Where I don't remember what he was saying, but he was saying like I'm good enough to be a heavyweight or something like that. He was talking about. That made me really like him. And then his the most recent match I saw of him was at the Final Battle. For the love of me, I can't remember who he faced there at Final Battle. Can you remember?
Who? Final Battle?
Marty Scurll. Who did he face?
Daniels.
Yeah, Christopher Daniels. That's right. That was a really good match.
Yeah.
And I think he has like a number 1 contendership to Jay Lethal now or something like that.
Something
So
like that.
I'm interested to see if like Marty Scurll could actually win the championship. Because I didn't know. Because I knew the Young Bucks and stuff were leaving Ring of Honor, but I didn't know if Marty Scurll was.
No, he's on a contract.
Oh.
For about a year or 2 more.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I think he's like locked in for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. My number 9, Will Ospreay. Talk about a
I didn't
guy.
even think of him.
Yeah, I almost forgot him, but talk about a guy that's just been having great matches after great match after great match after great match. I mean, this guy injured himself out. He tried to do a Spanish fly off the apron and hit his head. I'm pretty sure everybody remembers that. But this guy has just been on fire. Had an amazing match with Kazuchika Okada. He had great matches with Kushida. Had great matches with Marty Scurll. Jay Lethal had great matches with this year. And plus we got Ospreay versus Pac coming up 2019, so get ready for that. Pac is joining All Elite Wrestling. Okay, I don't need to go there.
Maybe. I forget when they're having their match though. I know it's sometime this year.
Right.
I just don't remember when. I know it's like towards the beginning of the year. Like it's either in May or before that.
Okay.
I know that.
But yeah, Will Ospreay has just been on fire. And when I think of New Japan right now, he's like top 5 that I'm thinking about. Like we got the pay-per-view coming up in 2-3 days. And I'm probably most excited for Kota Ibushi versus Will Ospreay. Like, that's going to be insane. This guy is just amazing, fantastic. And he's number 9 because he's just been put on the best body of work out of anybody right now, in my opinion. He's like one of the top guys, and I love what he's been doing.
My number 8, I have AJ Styles.
Whoa.
And it's just because I felt like there were so many people this year that did better than AJ Styles. Like you said, he was better in the previous years. And I just feel like this year, like, he wasn't bad this year, but he just wasn't...
For AJ Styles standards, it was bad.
Yeah.
If we're talking, like, if he was Dolph Ziggler putting on those matches, it's an A. Mm-hmm. But he's AJ Styles, and we know what he can do.
Yeah.
So it's like a C or D.
I just felt like I don't know. Like, he was champion and all, but I just felt like the years before he just kind of had, like, maybe more hype behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, I don't know, he just had, like, maybe it was just because he was, like, still new there, and there was still, like, so many people he could face. He just had, like, some kind of aura about him. Mm-hmm. But now it's just, like, maybe it's just I'm used to seeing him now. I don't know.
No, man, I'm telling you, the match, like, there's certain stuff he doesn't do in matches anymore that he did previously that just make his matches not as good. Yeah. Like, moves make matches. I'm sorry. Like, you add a couple moves into a match and it will make a match better. Like,
maybe he's trying to slow down a little bit.
It could be he's trying to slow down. They're trying to make him. It's one of the two. But I'm telling you, like, there's like they definitely like make him slow down a little bit, or he's not doing as much as he used to.
Mm-hmm.
My number 8 is Johnny Gargano. Again, the same reasons with Ciampa. This guy was also 2018. Again, had a great match with Cien Almas. Great match with Ciampa. Great matches with Aleister Black. Had great matches with Cassius Ohno. This guy's been fantastic. And should be, if I had to choose, would be world champion in the future for me personally. He was heavily featured. He's decent as a promo, but he definitely was a big part of NXT in 2018. Was definitely like the face of NXT in 2018, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I expect nothing but great things going for him in 2019 as well.
Excuse me, my number 7 was Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has had a good year. I put him on here because of the time period where he won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, and then he was like so hot.
Mm-hmm.
He was so over throughout the summer, and that's why I felt like he had to be on here. But as of late, it's just I just do not like his rivalry with Dean Ambrose. I just didn't like all the Shield stuff. It's just no. Just no. That's why there's people above him.
You say number 7 was your Seth Rollins?
Mm-hmm.
I have Seth Rollins as my number 7 as well. More the same reasons as you, just to add on, like you said, the Shield stuff really cut it down. The Dean Ambrose thing really cut it down a little bit. I think his best work so far was that 1 hour gauntlet thing he had. I think that was his best.
Oh, yeah,
I think that was his best work this year for sure. He's had decent matches. Also, another thing that cut him down was the matches he had with Dolph Ziggler. Nothing against Dolph, but those matches were not good, really. And they were good, but Seth Rollins carried those matches and made those matches a lot better. I think the best match they had was at SummerSlam. They were decent. He's had really good matches this year, but he's not number 2 or number 3 because of those. I'm listening to reasons why he's at number 7 for me. The Shield stuff, Dean, Dolph, really made his stock go lower than really it should be. Which is a shame because he should be top 3 on this list and he's not.
I think him and Ziggler kind of have that Kevin Owens, AJ Styles effect, where you remember they were like fighting for the U.S. Championship so much, and the matches weren't bad. It was just they kept doing the same spots over and over again, and they just kept facing each other, so they couldn't do anything new. And I think that's the problem with Rollins versus Ziggler, is that we've seen the match so many times. We know what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. We know all their counters and all everything that's going to happen, all the spots. Mm-hmm. People just don't care to see it anymore. It was good the first 1, 2, maybe even the third time, but then after that, they just keep doing it, and it's just not good anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But my number 6 is Johnny Gargano.
Okay.
I really love Johnny Gargano. At the beginning of the year, he was like the biggest babyface. I would say in the entire company, I'm not sure though, but he was definitely the biggest babyface in NXT for sure. And that match with him and Almas, I was such a Johnny Gargano fan after that. I was so behind him, and the thing with him and Ciampa, I got really invested into. I'm not sure what kind of direction it's going to go now, but it has been the best storyline all year without a doubt.
My number 6 is going to be the faction of Undisputed Era. If you take what these guys have done in 2018, and there's a reason why I had to separate. Well, no, I had to keep these guys together. You can't separate this faction, even though if I was to do a separate grade, I'd give them all a good C+, B- separately. But together they're an A+. The tag team of Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish was good, and then with Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong coming in, even better. Mm-hmm. That's been great. Adam Cole's been doing his thing, putting on pretty good matches. He was in that ladder match at one of the takeovers, and then had a really good match with Ricochet, and then decent good matches here and there on NXT television. Roderick Strong's a powerhouse, great guy. When he hits you with that knee, it's just that fantastic. He should be a top guy. But Roderick Strong's been doing really good, in my opinion. Guy was phenomenal this year. Bobby Fish finally came back from injury. He's been doing pretty good. This faction is a great faction. Reminds me of a lot of like a NWO, Bullet Club type of faction, but in their own kind of way. And if they keep their momentum and keep doing what they continue to do for the remainder of this year, whether if they're on the main roster, whether they're on NXT, if they keep what they have, they'll be one of the best of all time, in my opinion. And that's just going off of what we've seen in just 1 or 2 years. They're fantastic, and going 2019, I'm excited for what they do.
My number 5 is Tommaso Ciampa.
Okay.
Best heel of the year, without question.
Okay.
At least in WWE. Some of the best heel work I've ever seen from anybody. Like, that has to be the most like dedicated heel work I've ever seen.
I agree.
Going on social media, like everything you said, like not following anybody, not adding everybody, and like not selling his merch, and it's just been like my favorite heel all year, the best heel all year, and the best storyline with Johnny Gargano, and he's the NXT champion now, and I just love Tommaso Ciampa so much.
My number 5 is Okada. The first half of 18. Well, no, I take it back. The first half of Okada's reign, or the start of it, did really good. He defeated Naito at last year's main event of Wrestle Kingdom. He would then go on couple good matches here and there. Lost the title to Kenny, and when was that?
I don't even remember.
April. It was something like that. April, almost May. And Okada's a different Okada. He's not the Okada from previous years. He's beaten down. He lost his championship, and he's playing this gimmick of him not being the same. He's kind of like, oh, I'm party Okada. I'm not the champion anymore, so I'm gonna just chill out and be a party dude. With balloons, and kind of crazy, like I'm some kind of Joker Okada, like a little bit. And it's a bit weird, but it's different. It's a breath of fresh air to see someone who was kind of like, you looked at him, with the coat and with the money coming down, and you're like, holy snap, that's like a Ric Flair like type champion. But then changed to being like this like party kind of dude, and it's a big change. It's a big gimmick change from what he was. His hair's all red now, and it's refreshing. Because, he was the top dog, like a Roman Reigns. And this is why I will always put him over Roman, is because you get to see an evolution, a change. You don't see Roman lose a championship and then next week he comes out wearing a suit or wearing jogging pants. No, he's still wearing that same tacky vest. Okada changed it up. New attire, new look, new attitude, new music, new everything. Maybe not, he's still putting on great matches, but he's refreshing. He's been able to change his gimmick, and that's what I love about Okada going in 2018, is he was different than what we've seen before. And that's why I have him at number 5.
My number 4 is Kenny Omega.
Excited to find out who number 1 is.
You can't wait to see what my number 1 is.
Okay.
So, my number 4 is Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega has just been really hot this year. Winning the title from Okada, having all those great matches with Okada, just built his stock more and more up. He's one of the biggest names on the indies right now. One of the most looked at people by WWE. He's somebody. How am I going to say this? Out of all the people in the indies, he's a person that most people want to see in WWE more than others. I guess that's how I would explain it. He's just a huge name. He's had a great year, great matches, and he's the IWGP champion, and I can't wait to see what he does this year in 2019. Who knows where he's going to go.
Okay. Number 4 is Chris Jericho. I mean, talk about a guy who was just like the list guy in WWE. And, that he kept teasing matches with Kenny Omega. They kept teasing it. And then at Wrestle Kingdom, it actually happened. Being the first wrestling company that Chris Jericho has been to besides WWE since the 80s. Was it 80s? Did he say? Or would it be like the 90s?
90s.
Yeah, it had to be 90s. Gotta be old. He's not that old.
Yeah.
And again, someone who's been so refreshing. You know, you see him in WWE and he's doing the list stuff. And then you go look at him in New Japan, he's cussing up a storm. He's got this weird, like, jester face paint type thing going on with the mask. And then he's like this weird, like, I'm gothic, but I'm like a jester. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what to call it. But I like it. And talk about a guy who's, like, in his 40s, going on his 50s. He's still putting on good matches. Yeah, like, some people say the best match of Wrestle Kingdom. I didn't say. Well, no, some people say this is the best match of Chris Jericho's career, him versus Kenny. I don't think that's his best match of his career, but it was really good. He had a really good match with Evil recently. Had a good match with Tetsuya Naito. He's the IWGP IC champion. And Chris Jericho just finds a way to reinvent himself every single time, and it has become a big part of wrestling right now. I mean, he could be part of this AEW thing going on, and he's a big part of Wrestle Kingdom coming up this Friday. So Chris Jericho, man, he's up there for me. He's definitely earned his spot as number 4 for me.
My number 3 is the Young Bucks.
Who was number 1? This list.
The Young Bucks are number 3 for me because...
You need to start over.
because they've just done so much this year, and they've been such a big part of... They've been at the forefront of independent wrestling. Like, almost every big thing that's been going on in independent wrestling has somehow involved either the Bullet Club or the Young Bucks at the front of it.
I agree.
And they're the ones that wanted to strive and make the change, do all-in, all-elite wrestling. You know, they put their money into it, their own money, their own time, and these guys could be the ones that change the entire landscape of professional wrestling as we know it. And I see nothing but big things for them this year. They've done so many big things last year, and this year it's only going to get bigger.
Number 3 is AJ Styles. Despite everything we've talked about him this year, about not producing like he did in previous years.
You need to start over.
Listen, as much as we've talked about AJ not producing as good as he did in previous years, he still put on the best match out of anybody else in the company. You know what I mean? Like, he's still putting on, like, if we're talking Royal Rumble or the match he had with Shinsuke at, like, was it Money in the Bank or TLC? One of those dumb pay-per-views. Extreme Rules.
There's like 6 of those matches. I don't know.
Extreme Rules. Maybe him versus Shinsuke wasn't what we thought it'd be at Extreme Rules or whatever. That was still the best match on the card. Him and Samoa Joe. You could say, oh, well, AJ and Samoa Joe had better matches here. Him versus Samoa Joe was still the best match on that card. You look at SmackDown, anytime AJ has a match with Jeff Hardy or Daniel Bryan or Samoa Joe, whoever it is, it's still the best match on that card. He's carried the championship for over a year, and despite what we dislike about him this year, he's still been better than everybody else this year. He's still been producing the best matches, better than anybody else. He's still been that guy at the forefront. So AJ Styles is number 3, despite everything.
Well, I guess that's fair, because everybody that did better than him is not in WWE. So.
Exactly.
But my number 2 is Chris Jericho.
Okay.
I really like Chris Jericho this year. The king of reinventing himself. From, like you said, facing Kenny at Wrestle Kingdom to being the IWGP Intercontinental Champion. His match with Naito. Just all the stuff he's done this year, shocking the pro wrestling world by going to New Japan. And on top of that, the Jericho Cruise.
He was on, that too. I forgot to mention that. He was at it all in for a second.
He's doing another Jericho Cruise this year, actually.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I think it's called I don't know if it's going to be called Jericho Cruise 2 or something.
Got the money.
It's just, he reinvented himself this year, and it's been some of the best work he's ever done in his career.
I agree.
from when he was at All In dressed up as Pentagon to what kind of character he's playing now. I don't even know what it's called, but I love it. And I never thought I'd see Chris Jericho like that, especially when I started watching wrestling back in 2009 when he was like the best in the world at what I do, Chris Jericho. And now looking at him, I'm like,
refreshing.
Like Chris Jericho is one of the only people that has been able to adapt with like every new era of wrestling
and stay relevant.
Yeah. He went from being like, Y2J with the long hair to like, being a heel with the best in the world at what I do, to the list, to whatever you want to call this Jericho. He's always evolving with the times, reinventing himself, keeping himself relevant, and being one of the biggest names out there.
Okay. Number 2, Ronda Rousey.
No.
And this is going to shock people, but the reason why you have to understand this, and I think people hate her, the reason why people hate Ronda Rousey is because they thought she'd be another Roman Reigns. They didn't think that she'd be as big and be as good as she is right now. I think people thought Ronda Rousey would come in, she'd be a big name, and because she draws money from UFC, people would be all mad because she's at the top of the card. Listen, the problem I have is with fans who hate Ronda Rousey is that they criticize her for being at the top of the card because she was a top star in UFC. But if Kenny Omega came into WWE right now and was put at the top of the list and was made a top star right now, we'd all be we'd be praising them like crazy. It's hypocrisy. You criticize one for doing it because it's not wrestling, but you would praise another person because of whatever. The same thing. Ronda Rousey was best over here. Kenny's the best over there. If Kenny came in, you'd all be praising it, but you all hate Ronda Rousey because it's UFC? No. She came in her first match, and her first match ever had the best match at WrestleMania with Kurt Angle, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon. It was the most dramatic, fun, and action-packed of them all. Maybe not. I don't know about that, but she gave Nia Jax her best match, which is hard to do. She had a decent match with Nikki Bella. It was the best match on the show, but it was a decent match for Nikki Bella standards. She had a fantastic best match with Charlotte. I think that's her best match so far. And that match was about 4.5 stars, almost 5 stars. It would have been 5 stars if it wasn't for the ending. Yeah, she's not super great every single week. She's not super great on the mic. Yeah, she's not putting great matches every single week. But for her first year, are you kidding me? She's been fantastic. Yeah, she came out in the UFC, and yeah, they kind of put her in the limelight already. It doesn't matter. Her first year, she is like a fish to water. She is a great wrestler so far in her first year, and she's learning. She's progressing as months go by, and will continue to progress as this year go on. And within 5 years, who knows how good this woman is going to be. Ronda Rousey is the best women's wrestler currently today.
Well, for my number 1, I'm going to have to go with the highly, highly unpopular opinion here. My number 1 wrestler of the year is Roman Reigns. From the matches he had with Brock, all of them were 5-star main events.
Okay, he's trolling.
I'm just playing.
Okay, I was like, I was going with you for a second. I was like, okay, maybe he has the defense.
My number 1 is the Undisputed Era. And I say that because it's, in my opinion, they're my absolute favorite thing this year.
Okay.
2018 to me was their year. They've had the absolute best matches this year. Okay. With all their matches with the fuck is that?
Oh, sorry.
With Mustache Mountain classic matches. Everybody they step in the ring with, they just bring them to an amazing match. All 4 men, even before Roderick Strong was in it, 4 men are extremely talented. Adam Cole, like, Jesus Christ, this guy could be like the next like face of the company.
Yeah.
Freaking Kyle O'Reilly, good God, this dude. Bobby Fish coming back from injury, like that's the best I've ever seen somebody look coming back from injury.
That's the sad part. Like, I don't mean to cut you off, but when you sit there and actually really look at all four of them and realize, okay, if these were single guys, and if they really looked at them and see how great they were, all could be world champions. Every last one of them, especially Roderick. God, he's good.
Yeah. And, just like every tag team match they've had has been great.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite matches are them versus Mustache Mountain,
Danny and Burch and
Oney Lorcan, yeah. Them versus Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne versus AOP. War Games, Jesus Lord.
Yeah, that was great.
I just love Undisputed Era so much. I felt like they've done the best out of anybody this year. Like, especially when they had all that gold, when they were tag team champions and Adam Cole had the North American Championship. All they were missing was the NXT Championship. Like, in my opinion, they were the wrestlers of the year.
I agree. Okay, let's see why. My number one is the whole Elite. All of them. Nick Jackson, Matt Jackson, Marty Scurll, Hangman, Kenny, and Cody. You can't name them without naming all of them. They all have made this year so impactful. Let's just go a brief mention, go back. Kenny and Cody had an amazing feud that felt real. Like, okay, they really do hate each other, like, at some points. And if it wasn't that, then you had Kenny and Kota Ibushi going against the Young Bucks. That was a top match of the year contender. That might be the second best match of this year, if you guys remember that match. Heyman's been fantastic. You mentioned it earlier, Marty Scurll, the match he had with Okada at All In. He's been fantastic this year. Matches with him and Will Ospreay. Kenny, do I say more? He's world champion. We've already talked about how good Kenny's been this year. Cody, he's been great. And then you go into what they've done just for the wrestling business itself. All In. What they've done with independent wrestling itself right there is amazing. Like, it's not, oh, this independent company did this. No, these wrestlers, with a little bit of help from other wrestlers and, people who like them, sold out a 10,000 arena in 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes? Yeah. That's amazing. Now they're about to own their own wrestling company? Yeah, no, you have to include all of them as a group. They said they're staying together, and I'm keeping them together as a group as number one, as the best thing of 2018. They've kept relevant, and if we're not talking about what they did for All In, if we're not talking about All In, if we're not talking about AEW, their YouTube show is funny. They do their feuds on there. That's how their feuds progress on there, which is an intelligent way to create and the 4 feuds. If you're not on a wrestling show weekly, you do your feuds on there, which they'll have a feud build up for months and months and months, and then have a big show like All In, and then do a match that will conclude that feud on the show. So if you watch their YouTube show weekly, you watch their match, something that goes on, you're like, oh shoot, everything that they've done in the show just led to this great match that we're seeing on this show. That's brilliant. They've been doing that for the past year. The Elite, all of them have been 2018. They've proved they're not just WWE, they're not just independent wrestling, they are wrestling. And I'm keeping them together, so they are my number one.
All right.
And this was our list of best wrestlers of 2018. We will do this again in 2020 with, we'll see with everything goes. So if you watch this long podcast, it's been almost a 2-hour podcast, the longest we've ever done. If you've enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe for more. We'll try to do this a little bit more constant. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, this has been Under the Apron. I am Rob Coronation.
I'm Demo the Warrior.
You guys for watching, and we see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Later.